Hey guys, this is Lil with another raid video. I recorded this video already, but I wasn't happy with it, so I'm re-recording it again. So hopefully this time I'll be a bit more on point and a bit less rambly, and we can talk about Hydra and the builds that you want for the different types of champs that you're bringing into Hydra, and the different roles that the different champs that you want to try and fill into the different roles based on your roster. Yeah, and hopefully we can go through all of that. This might be the last in my series of videos on Hydra because, frankly, they haven't been very popular. So today, going through builds of champs and team composition. The only other video that I thought about doing is sort of a tips and tricks, getting the most damage out of your Hydra keys. Things like, making sure that you remember that turn meter doesn't reset when you decapitate a head, so don't decapitate a head when it's got a full turn meter, otherwise you're only getting one turn meter worth of a decapitated head, whereas if you hold your skills, target some other heads, and then kill it as soon as it's taken its turn, you get full 2 turn meters worth of damage on that head. Anyway guys, let's cut over. We're going to talk on one note first, just about champion builds. I'm going to show a couple of the builds that I am doing, that I have on my teams, and then we'll go into picking champs into different roles based on your roster. Okay, you'll forgive me while I drink coffee as well. It's early morning here, so. Okay, so these are what I aim for with builds, okay, and general rule of thumb, yeah, the accuracy and the resist are pretty standard. Speeds, again, it's not a fixed, you must hit this. In Hydra, the faster you go, the better. That's why increased speed and decreased speed are important as well. So yeah, generally speaking, when you're talking about hard, your support champs being about 220 plus is fine. Your damage dealers want to be at least 200. Accuracy 200, your mischief tank, if you have one, that's the person who self-buffs to have one extra buff than everyone else. If you're running one, needs 350 resist to resist that buff steal and turn meter steal. Brutal, 230 plus speed, 220 speed on your damage dealers. I don't build any damage dealers for Hydra that are less than 220. 280 accuracy. The accuracy on Hydra isn't that bad, and the resist 400. The resist is a little bit. Nightmare, again, you want your supports as fast as you can get them. I would say 240 plus on all of your supports for speed. 220 plus on your damage dealers. Realistically, if you want to be hitting as hard as you can in Hydra class, which is going on right now, you want your damage dealers to be up in the 230, 240 range, to be honest. But it depends on your gear. Like I mentioned last time, I rebuilt my exact Nightmare team, which I'll show you in a second, for somebody else who had exactly the same champs but didn't have the same gear level, and took it into Nightmare, and it just didn't perform the same because he just couldn't hit the same stat thresholds. So, a good team comp, Hydra is not only about the champs and getting your team right, it's also about the gear that you've got on your account and the stats that you can hit in that gear. We'll get onto it. I'm going to do a clan boss series as well. Everyone thinks that getting a 1 key on Ultra Nightmare is just have I got the right champs, and it's not. It's about have you got the right gear to go on those champs. You can have a 1 key comp, and if you haven't got the gear to push the damage out, then you're never going to 1 key. I see it all the time on Discord. Oh, build me a 1 key team. It's like, I can't build you a 1 key team because you can hit the speeds, but you can't then add damage to anybody, so you're never going to hit a 1 key. And Hydra is the same. Your champs are only as good as the stats that you can get on them. So anyway, sorry, Nightmare, you want 350 accuracy, 450 resist. Again, these are ballparks to aim for. More is always better. And just in terms of sets, and I might do this in a slightly separate video, and just in terms of teams, in terms of tips, but I try to put my support champs in Guardian gear, because it gives them a big chunky heal, which I feel like everyone forgets about for Guardian. It's like a 10% heal, just like Bolster, but then it's also doing that 10% ally protection as well. So it's protecting your damage dealers, and healing the support champ. It's my favourite to put supports in. Unless you're going for, I should have added on here. Sorry, I didn't actually finish this list. I should have added in here. Provoke is also a great one. Relentless, like when you look at all the teams that are over 100 million most of the time, it's because they're running people in Relentless. And you can run multiple different people in Relentless. We'll go and take a look at my teams in a minute, but you'll see that most of those big damage dealers are in Relentless, and some people run Ugos in Relentless. Reflex is great when someone's got a single skill that you want to get back around to. Husk, for example. Geomancer is good. Cursed is becoming a really good one, because you can then put Hex out. So, if you've got somebody who does an AoE, especially, like AoE A1, then you can put Hex out. Same with Provoke, really good one. So, like, one of my teams doesn't run a Provoker at all. It just runs 2 champs, fast, who've got lots of AoEs, both in Provoke set. And again, you're not going to provoke every time. You've got to know where your weakness is in the teams that you build so that you can work around it. In that team, I know sometimes the head of decay is going to get a provoke off because I'm not running a provoker, but by not running a provoker, I can stack more damage into the team. For example, Immortal I really like on supports because it just gives them a little heal, a little bit of extra health, a little bit of heal. So yeah, those are the kinds of, obviously, refresh accessories are really powerful. Stuff like running a Blood Shield accessory on your Mischief tank, also run Lightning Shield on your Mischief tank, which is something that we were talking about recently in the clan. I've just always done it on my Mischief tanks and nobody ever talks about it. It was yonks ago that it came up on a Nub Raids video recommended. Anyway, yeah, it's really good. It's not, until you get higher levels, it doesn't increase it doesn't trigger all the time from turn meter because it's only from buffs, but you find the buffs slip through all the time on Hydra. I still think it's well worth it, personally. It's because somebody asked me, how am I running Nut, or Newt, because he gives himself an extra buff, how am I running him in my comp? And the answer is, well, Morley self-buffs herself, she's then got a Blood Shield ring, and she's then got Lightning Cage, so she's got 3 extra buffs most of the time. I'm not just relying on her damage reflect in her case. Anyway, let's go over to my game. Okay, so Hydra Clash is going on at the moment. I got my personal best on my Nightmare Key this week. I manualed it yesterday. It took over an hour. Did I have to restart? No. I autoed it a couple of times first to just see how it did. But this is my team. We went over it last time. Mishinaki's really good. Morley's a great Mischief tank and Provoker. Shamrock, because it's just really lacking somewhat a good increase-decrease speed. But he's great. Increase-decrease speed, increase defense, and then he also puts that revive on death up if people are low on health, and you'd be surprised how many times that thing brings someone straight back. Newt, again, great damage dealer. The great thing about him is his A3 can just release someone from a devoured head. It knocks that much damage off. And then, yeah, my Husk, again. So Husk Relentless, Newt Relentless. Mishinaki isn't in Relentless, but I have seen some good results with him in Relentless. So if I take a look at Elixium's team here, I think he's running most of his, Relentless on Necmo, Reflex on Husk, Relentless on Mishinaki. Again, great team. So if I take a look at, like, my other team, in fact, we were supposed to be looking at builds, weren't we? Sorry. So let's go and have a look at builds. This is the problem, I get distracted. So let's take a couple of, I'll take 1 support and 1 damage dealer. Maybe 1 Mischief tank. Okay, so let's pick an Hugo. If I could find her, there she is. So here we go. Here's my Hugo, my first Hugo, one of two built, one at level 50. So I've got her, yeah, decent tanky stats, 245 speed, and then accuracy to land her stuff. I then have my Hydra bonuses, which add a lot, 10 speed, some resist, tiny bit of accuracy, and some ignore defense, basically. And again, a couple of refresh accessories. Masteries, the sort of key ones that you want. So this is what I tend to do on a support champ. Yeah, I want War Master on them if they're hitting, and I want Life Drinker, because that's just going to help them heal back up. It's just like normal clan boss, Life Drinker plus War Master equals big heal. And then it depends on the champ for masteries. What I will often do, and I'll show you one in a minute, is come down here, you waste this talent point here to get, this is if someone's got buffs and debuffs, and it depends, okay, so the Arcane Celerity and Rapid Response gives turn meter based on buffs or debuffs. So I don't rely on, I'm going to get more accuracy, I just build enough accuracy on the champs, and then I can get the turn meter for buffs and debuffs. And it depends on the champ, so this is Hugo, so she's doing debuffs, not doing any buffs, therefore she gets Arcane Celerity. Cycle of Magic is really important in Hydra, any decreased cooldown is amazing, and then stuff like Law of Steel, because you're just trying to push loads of stats. Again, if she was a buffer, I'd have her in Lasted Gifts. She isn't, so I've got her in Master Hexer and Sniper just to increase durations. It's pretty standard stuff. Again, refresh accessories are great, because anytime that you can get a refresh on someone, that's perfect. You guys see that? Yes, okay. I was just making sure that it wasn't blocked by the logo. So that's sort of a support champ build. In terms of, let's take a Husk here. I don't know how well this Husk is built, so we'll find out in a second. Here we go. So, and again, I'll turn his Hydra bonuses on. Well, in fact, let's turn them off. So this is what I would aim for, yeah, is 240, 100%. On the enemy max HPs, try and get them around 220. That's fine. It depends. It's whether, 220... it will be fine to cap it on most heads. I think it's Suffering who's got slightly higher requirements. So it's one of those, you'll cap it on all except Suffering. So it's up to you. And then I build accuracy on Royal Guards and on Husks because they're A1. The Royal Guard decrease speed and the Husk provoke are brilliant. And again, the masteries are just typical. Yeah, in fact, I've not even finished his masteries because, there's nothing here that's going to benefit him. One good call out that I saw recently is actually putting him in this one. Ignore resist would mean I could drop the accuracy requirement. But again, the reality is if I push loads more crit damage on him, it's not going to up his damage a lot because his damage is capped 10% of enemy max HP. So yeah, and then let's look at one Mischief tank. Let's take Bivaled. In fact, let's take Ragash, because I just rebuilt Ragash, because he was okay, but he's like my third. Again, I don't have... I've got Morley, I've got Bivaled, and then Ragash is actually the only other self buffer that I have. So, I know that he's useful in Arena. I don't really use him in Arena, so I built him Mischief tank. So again, he's just in mixed sets just to get the stats that we want. He's got a Blood Shield ring. And again, I'd rather he was a bit faster, but he's a damage dealer and Mischief tank. That's the main thing that I rebuilt on him was stacking a load more damage into his build. I only use him on Brutal or lower, so the accuracy requirement isn't too bad. So again, 100%, 250, 230 resist, and then 280 accuracy. With my Hydra stats, that pumps that up a little bit to make it a little bit more acceptable. But yeah, I wanted to push, again, as part of Hydra Clash, I'm looking at, okay, how can I get damage out of all of my champs? So not just, can Bivaled Mischief tank, actually, can Bivaled Mischief tank and do a load of damage. And that's not because I actually took the damage out of Bival's build yonks ago because he just wasn't fast enough. But now I might revisit that and I might go, okay, I need to push more and more damage. It's not just about getting a consistent 1 key now, it's about really min-maxing your damage. Anyway, so that's the sort of builds that I would aim for. Again, you know, try and get some Guardian gear on your champs, but also just stats. Yeah, stats are the most important thing. So I'd try and hit those stat thresholds, and if you can, try and do that in, you know, useful sets, in Relentless, in Reflex. I just built, in fact, I built Snick Tracks last week, and I built Arex this week, but I haven't got her booked. But I really want to, I'm really interested to try out Ally Protection, because I don't really have a great Ally Protection champ. So I was interested in Arex because she's a damage dealer who also ally protects. Which is a bit counterintuitive given that crit damage actually increases the damage that an ally protector takes. But anyway, so this is so I want to try her out, but she's not booked. So I might do. In fact, I can't decide if I'm honest. So I've got Arex, who I like the idea of in a provoke set as an ally protector. I also just pulled in my 2-for-1 Tyrant, who's also a great ally protector for Hydra. So, you know, increase ally protect and increase defense and HP burn, which is great. And enemies do less damage when they're under HP burn, which is also great for the team. That's like the Geoman's passive. And I also have Snick Track. Now, the reason that I did use Snick Track in my team last week, and I've been trying to build around him, and his passive heal, sorry, not his passive heal, his heal, where is it? Yeah, heals this champ by 50% of their max HP is huge. He can be really low health, do the A3, and he's way back up. And these shields are nice. The problem is he just doesn't fit well into any of my teams. Every debuff that I've got in the teams that I would look to put him in is covered. So I've been struggling to fit him in. I did put him in, but I can't remember what he did. I think he did about 5 million damage for me last week, with no masteries, to be fair. But, you know, I'm kind of more tempted with Arex, because I'm like, do you know what? I want someone that I can just really push the damage out with. And I've seen Arex doing sort of 15 million on other people's builds with her in Hydra, so I'm kind of interested to try that out. Same with like Gerptuk, bringing Gerptuk in as the block debuffs, block buffs, sorry, and then increasing the damage of the team. I'm interested in testing out. Anyway, sorry guys. I think what I'll do, this video is running long, what I'll do is I'll cut it here. That's champ builds for Hydra, and I'll do a separate video just in terms of team composition and the best champs in each role. The list will not include every champ, but it's I think it's relatively up to date. So the problem is they keep adding champs and we keep finding new champs that we can use in different ways. So I'm going to cut this one there, guys. I hope that's been useful. That's just in terms of what I look for in the builds. Let me know what you look for in your builds. As I say, the sort of the tankiness, the survivability. Anyway, you've seen it all. Thanks, guys. I will catch you in the next one.